I want you to picture someone for me. She doesn't have a name yet. Give her yours if you need to. It's late. Probably past midnight. The kind of late where the rest of the world has gone quiet and your thoughts get louder. Something happened today. Something real. Something that cracked that open. A friendship she thought was solid turned out to have been hollowed all along. Words were said, or worse, words were not said when they should have been. A trust she had carried carefully for a long time was dropped, and now she's sitting in her bed, phone in hand, the screen the only light in the room. She opens an app. The little white box blinks at her, patient, waiting, and she starts to type. Not a text to a trusted friend, not a journal entry, not a prayer. She types directly into a feed where 3,300 people are watching. And she types everything, every feeling, every name, the specific shape of the odds, the raw, unedited, still bleeding edges of a wound she hasn't even begun to process yet. She posts it. For about 4 hours, something magical happens. You're so brave. Thank you for your honesty. This is exactly me. Comments flooding in. Hundreds of strangers reaching through their screens. She feels seen. She feels understood. She feels finally less alone. And then, the morning, a screenshot is circulating. The person she mentioned has seen it. A mutual friend sends a message that starts with, "Hey, are you okay?" People are talking. Someone she barely knows is now in her comments offering unsolicited opinions about her mental health. Someone else has taken one single line, completely out of context. That beautiful feeling of being seen, it cuddles slowly, quietly, into something that feels a lot like shame. She deletes the posts. But you know what she cannot delete? The feeling that she handed something sacred to a place that was never built to hold it. That's what we're talking about today. Welcome to Becoming with Adeola Azaria. This is a space for people who are in the middle of something, not at the beginning, not triumphantly at the end, the middle, where the real work lives. We don't perform growth for applause. We don't confuse confession with healing. And we don't mistake being seen by many for being known by anyone. I'm Adeola, and today we're getting into something that sounds simple and is anything but vulnerability. Not the version they sell you, the real thing. Because I think most of us, if we're honest, have been doing this wrong and paying for it quietly. There's a script we've been handed. It's been handed to us so consistently from so many directions that most of us have stopped noticing we're reading from it. The script says, be open, share your truths, post your pain, let people in. The more personal it is, the more it connects. Authenticity is your superpower. Vulnerability is your brand. And honestly, some of that is true. There's a real power in honesty. There is real freedom in finally saying the thing. I believe that. But here is what nobody puts in the fine print. Somewhere between the real thing and the performance of it, vulnerability got hijacked. It became a content category. It became a growth strategy. It became something you do in public, measured in comments and shares and the numbers of people who say this is so relatable. And in the process, something sacred got turned into something consumable. People now open jars of themselves, parts of themselves, raw, unprocessed, still tender parts in spaces that were never designed to receive them. Spaces that don't have the walls for it, the roots for it, the trust for it. And then something painful happens. The same crowd that applauded on Monday is indifferent or worse, judgmental by the weekend. Screenshots travel, silence follows, and people are left with this quiet, confusing question. I did what they said. I was open. I was honest. I was brave. So why do I feel so much worse? Because bravery and wisdom are not the same thing. And we've been selling bravery while quietly skipping over wisdom. There's a difference between an open wound and a healed scar. Both are real, both are honest, but only one of them is ready to be seen. I'm going to tell you something real. There was a season in my life where I thought being open meant being unfiltered. I thought honesty meant saying the thing to whoever was there, whenever the feeling hits. No editing, no pausing, no asking whether this person had earned this piece of me. I genuinely believed that was strength. I thought restraint was repression. I thought choosing what I shared and with whom meant I was hiding. So I poured freely, widely, often. And something strange started to happen. I would have a conversation and feel lighter in the moment, and then heavier for days afterwards. I would share something personal in the wrong room and spend weeks wondering who had it now, where it had traveled, and what shape it was taking in other people's minds. A private thing became a public thing without me ever signing off on it. And I had to sit with a question that was deeply uncomfortable. Was I being vulnerable? Or was I just being unguarded? Because they look identical from the outside. Both involve saying things that are real. Both involve a kind of courage. But one of them is chosen, deliberate, wise, with intention. The other is just open, like a window with no glass. Everything in, everything out. No protection, no discernment. Not strength, just exposure. And the moment I understood that difference, everything changed. I started asking different questions. Not just, do I feel like sharing this? But is this person a safe container? Am I sharing from healing or sharing from bleeding? What do I actually need right now? Connection or comfort? And is this the place to get it? That shift from open to discerning is what this whole episode is about. Let me say something that I think is genuinely important. An audience watches you. A community holds you. Those are two different experiences wearing the same word. When you post something raw at midnight, something unprocessed, something still hot with emotions, you're not offering it to a community. You're offering it to a crowd, and crowds are unpredictable. They are moved by feelings and not loyalty. They can celebrate you today and misread you tomorrow. They don't know your context. They don't know your history. They don't know the backstory that makes the thing you said make sense. They just know the post. Social media did not create the human need to be seen. That need is ancient. It's woven into us. But social media removed every natural gatekeeper that used to protect the expression of that need. There was a time when if you had something painful to carry, you had to carry it to someone. You had to physically walk it to a person, sit across from them, look them in the eye, choose them deliberately as the person you trusted with this. And that act of choosing, that walk, that decision, that intentional handing over was itself a form of protection. Now, you can be in the worst moment of your life and have 5,000 strangers in it before you've even processed what happened. It's what the science tells us happened after that. Your nervous system opens, dopamine fires, it feels like connection, then the attention moves on as it always does, and you're left with a quiet that feels emptier than before. Anxiety you didn't have before. A low hum of dread. Who has this now? What are they doing with it? Shame that dresses itself up as regrets. We celebrate the brave ones who share. We don't talk about what it costs when sharing lands in the wrong soil. Visibility is not safety. The internet was built for skill, not for gentleness. And some things require gentleness above everything else. I want to slow down here and I want to honor something that I think we've quietly dismissed. In our rush towards authenticity, our grandmothers, the women before them, the ones who carried things we will never fully know, things we will never fully know about. Loss, migration, survival that cost them pieces of themselves. things that would level most of us, and they didn't post about it. They didn't have a platform or a hashtag or a comment section full of strangers, but they weren't suppressed. Not exactly. They had something more sophisticated than suppression. They had wisdom about containers. In many African cultures, and I'm speaking broadly because our cultures are rich and varied, emotional matters had designated places, trusted elders, women who gathered around fire or around grief, the closed door, the hushed voices, the specific person you walked to because they had earned that access over years. Privacy was not dishonesty. It was not weakness or denial. It was a deeply sophisticated form of discernment. You didn't pour yourself just anywhere. You chose the vessel that could hold the weight. The space that knew how to be present without judgment. The person who would not trade your truth for gossip or status. And somewhere between them and now, we lost that balance. We swung from one extreme to the other, from don't talk about it to post everything, from silence that sometimes became suppression to openness that sometimes became harm. But wisdom has never lived at extremes. It lives in deliberate middle, in the choosing, in the sacred act of saying, I trust you with this, and meaning it. Let me tell you about a woman whose story stops me cold. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, Nigerian, Igbo, one of the most powerful literary voices of her generation. Her books are studied across 5 continents. Her TED Talks have hundreds of millions of views. She has stood at podiums in London, in Lagos, in New York, in Paris, and spoken with a precision and depth that most people spend their whole lives reaching for. In 2020, during the pandemic, her father died, Professor James Onwoye Adichie, a man she loved with the particular irreplaceable love that a daughter holds for a father who has always truly seen her. He died during lockdown, which meant borders were closed, which meant the rituals that hold grief together, the gathering, the ceremony, the bodies in the same room were stripped away, which meant she had to carry something enormous inside walls that suddenly felt very, very small. Now, here's this woman with access to the largest microphone on earth. A woman who could go on Instagram that night and have 300 million people in her grief by morning. She didn't. She was quiet. She grieved in private. She let time do what time does when you don't rush it. She wrote and stopped and wept and started again. She sat with it until she understood its shape. And then, when she was ready, she released something extraordinary into the world. She called it Notes on Grief, a short, devastating, achingly honest piece of writing about loss, about how grief doesn't follow a schedule, about the particular horror of losing a parent while the world is already collapsing, about the strange, impossible way that grief and love become the same feeling. When it went out, people didn't just sympathize, they recognized themselves in it. They sent it to each other. They read lines out loud. They said, this is grief. This is exactly what it is. Do you understand what happened there? She didn't spill. She distilled. She shared after reflection, after time, after the wound became something she could look at clearly. And because of that, because she waited, because she chose wisely, her vulnerability didn't just express her pain. It carried millions of other people's pain home to them. That's what vulnerability looks like when wisdom is holding its hand. Now, I want to give you a completely different kind of story. Because vulnerability doesn't only look like quiet writing in a private room. Sometimes it looks like walking into the most dangerous space you can imagine and refusing to leave. Her name is Lema Gbowe, Liberian, West African, Nobel Peace Prize laureate. And the reason she won that prize is one of the most extraordinary stories you would ever hear. It is the early 2000s. Liberia had been at war, a brutal, devastating civil war for over a decade. Children are being turned into soldiers. Women are being violated as a weapon of conflict. Families are being torn apart in ways that leave marks on multiple generations. Leima is a young social worker. She is not a politician. She has no army, no title, no formal power. What she has is a community of women. Christian women, Muslim women, women who prayed differently but grieved the same. And a decision that must have felt terrifying when she first said it out loud. We're going to stand in the marketplace and demand peace. Think about what that required. To stand publicly in a war-torn country, dressed in white, holding nothing but prayer and collective presence, and say, we will not move. We will not be invisible. We are here. This is a specific kind of vulnerability. Not the online kind, not the kind you can delete in the morning, the kind that asks, I am going to make myself completely visible in a space where being seen could cost me everything. Because I believe the truth I carry is more important than my safety. That is radical vulnerability. And it worked. The women's movement Lema built, called Women of Liberia Mass Action for Peace, helped bring two warring factions to the table. They confronted warlords. They physically blocked the exit of peace talks until the men inside agreed to keep negotiating. They refused to let power hide from their presence. Liberia elected Africa's first female president in 2005. Lema won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2000. But here is what I need you to hold. Lema's vulnerability was not accidental. It was not impulsive. It was not about being seen for the sake of being seen. It was purposeful, collective, grounded in something bigger than her own relief. She chose the space, the timing, the community. She chose who she stood with and what she stood for. Discernment, even in the most radical act of openness. Both women, Chimamanda and Lema, one quiet, one loud, one writing, one marching, both teaching the same thing. True vulnerability is never reckless. It is chosen. It is purposeful. It is offered from a place of something solid underneath. So let's name it clearly. Vulnerability is not the same thing as openness. Vulnerability is not the same thing as honesty. And it is definitely not the same thing as performance. Real vulnerability, the kind that actually heals, actually connects, actually transforms, is courage held inside discernment. Now, think of it this way. Courage is the decision to open the door. Discernment is the decision of which room you're standing in when you do. You need both. Without courage, you stay locked in silence. Without discernment, you open up in the wrong room and wonder why you feel less safe than before. Here are 4 questions I now carry with me. I want to give them to you. 1. Is this person a safe container? Not do they like me? Not do they mean well? Not are they nice? Can they hold what I'm about to give them without dropping it, leaking it, or misusing it? That is a different, much more specific question. 2. Am I sharing or am I bleeding? There's a difference between a person who has processed something and speaks from it and a person still in the middle of it who needs immediate relief. One belongs in the healing conversation. The other belongs in a journal, a therapy room, or with your one most trusted person. 3. What is this for? Is it for healing? For connection? For the relationship between me and this person? Or is it for the ache that lives just underneath the surface? The one that says, someone, please just see me. That ache is real and it is human and I honor it completely. But it is not a compass. It's a signal and signals need wisdom to interpret. 4. Am I ready for what comes after? Because once something leaves you, once it's spoken, posted, released into a room, you cannot call it back. Can you live with whatever this lands? Not in theory, practically. Can you? These questions are not a cage. They are not asking you to be less open, less real, less yourself. They're asking you to be more intentional. And intention is not the enemy of authenticity. It is the thing that protects it. Okay, we're stepping into the kitchen. This is my favorite part of the show. And if you're new here, let me tell you about this space. The Becoming Kitchen is not a cooking class. We're not trying to impress anyone here. There's no Michelin star, no audience waiting to critique. It's just you and the work and the ingredients you're actually working with. Every episode, we take the thing we've been discussing and we turn it into something you can hold in your hands, something sensory, something that makes abstract truth feel real. Because I believe totally the body learns differently than the mind. The mind can read a truth and file it away. But when you taste something, smell something, build something with your hands, it lodges somewhere different, somewhere deeper. So this is what we do in the Becoming Kitchen. We make the lesson tangible. Today we're not making food, we're mixing something cool and intentional and precise. Something that requires care, not just pouring. Welcome to the Becoming Kitchen. Let's make something good. The Becoming Mocktail, vulnerability done well. Picture a clean counter, everything cleared away. No mess, no distractions, just the tools you need and the space to use them properly. Ice from the freezer, the kind that crackles when it hits the glass. A clear cocktail shaker, cool to the touch. A fine mesh strainer sitting on the lip of a beautiful glass. And warm afternoon lights coming in through a window. This is not a party drink. This is a reset. This is something you mix with intention. Ingredients needed. One measured pour of honesty, not the whole bottled. Measured, intentional, just what is needed. One full pour of discernment. Don't rush this one in. This is the base of everything. A splash of courage, the everyday kind, small but essential. Fresh ice. This is your emotional regulation, the thing that keeps you from scalding. Citrus zest, clarity, sharp and bright. Not sweet, bright. A sprig of something green. Hope, small, alive, present. Your tools. A sealed shaker, private, strong, protected. What's inside is yours until it's ready. A fine mesh strainer to catch what's not ready. Not everything goes in the glass today. A clear glass, transparency with walls, openness with boundaries. Now, the method. Add your honesty first. Don't pour it fast. Don't slam it in. Place it in the shaker gently, the way you'd place something fragile on a shelf. Spoon in the discernment next. Let it settle underneath the honesty. Let them start to know each other. Drop in the ice, one cube at a time. Feel the temperature shift, that burning urgency, the need to just say it right now to anyone at any cost. That's what the ice is for. Cool it down. Let the heat leave before you open the shaker. Add the citrus. Brightness, not bitterness. There's a difference and your body knows it. One stings and closes, the other opens and clears. Tucking the sprig of green. A reminder that this is going somewhere, that there is a life in the direction you're headed. Seal the shaker. This is the part most people skip, and it's the most important part. You seal it before you shake. You protect what's inside before you begin to blend it, because if you shake it open, you lose half of what matters. Now shake, not frantically, not desperately, the way you'd make something that matters, with care and rhythm, steady, intentional, enough to blend, not enough to bruise. Strain it into the glass. Slowly, watch what the strainer catches. That is the stuff that needs more time. The part you're not quite ready to offer yet. It doesn't need to go anywhere today. It can stay in the shaker. There's no shame in that. Look at what's in the glass. clear, cool, balanced, something you could actually offer to another person without worrying about what it might do to them. Now, before you share anything, run the sip test. Take one slow, considered sip of what you're about to give. If it burns, it's too raw. Put back in the shaker. Give it more time. If it's flat, it needs more honesty, more of the real thing, more courage. If it tastes balanced, cool, clear, with just that edge of brightness, that's vulnerability done well. Refreshing without being reckless. Honest without being raw. Open in a way that is also safe for you and for whoever receives it. Vulnerability without wisdom is exposure. Vulnerability with discernment is strength. And choosing where you pour yourself is one of the most loving things you would ever do for yourself. Affirmation this week: I honor my truths. I honor my boundaries. I choose wisely where I open myself. The right spaces will receive me well. And I am becoming whole. Before you go, I want to leave you with this. There's someone in your life right now who has earned access to your becoming. Someone who has shown up consistently, who holds what you give them with care, who doesn't leak, who doesn't judge, who doesn't use your truth as a weapon. Go to that person, be vulnerable there, not everywhere, just there. And if you don't have that person yet, that is itself something worth sitting with. Now, not in shame, in curiosity. What kind of space do I need to build in my life? What kind of person do I need to become to attract someone who can hold this? Your story is sacred. Your inner world is not content. You do not owe anyone access to your becoming. But the right people, the ones who have earned it, they would hold it like something precious. Because that is exactly what it is. If something in today's episode found you, let it stay. Don't rush past it. Let it walk. And if you know someone who needs to hear this today, share it with them. Sometimes the most vulnerable thing you can do is simply say, I heard something that made me think of you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for trusting this space with your time. That matters more than you know. Until next time, keep becoming.